Welcome to the Trails Committee meeting today, January 17th. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:31. We'll do a roll call vote. Satyana Sharma,
Yes.
Tom McCoolier,
Here.
and Kat McKee. Great. Okay, so first order of business is to approve the minutes from January 3rd and January 10th. Have both of you had an opportunity to review those? Satya, you drafted one, so
So I guess you did.
you did.
What did you do the one on the third?
Bella, no, Satya did the 3rd and Bella did the 10th.
Yeah, at least on my computer, coming into a different font. Oh, maybe because I didn't download it. Never mind.
It could be in a different font because I had to put Bella's in something else.
Oh, they're both in the same font.
Okay, so oh,
It
you.
was just different. But yeah, I don't have anything on either one of those.
Okay, so does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, and a second.
I second it.
Great, and let's do roll call. Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Great, so motion passes. Thank you. So next item is the town grant writer proposal from EDC. So I reached out to Rob Anderson, who's the chair of EDC, and invited him to any one of our next few meetings in January. I have not heard back. We talked a little bit about this last time. It was just an opportunity. I think he's looking to make a part-time position full-time and just checking out who would benefit from that. So hopefully we'll connect with him. I'll reach out again, see where we're at. No other action on that. And the next item is the DCR MOA Trails Agreement status update. So this kind of merges with the next one, with the Mass Trails Grant. So I reached out to John Scannell and asked if we could meet. So we met last Friday and I met with Kelly Frieda. She is the Watershed Regional Director that we will be our liaison, same as Jamie Carr used to be. And we met on Friday and we discussed the project. So basically I went through it step by step, the fencing, moving the gate, the ADA parking, asked for any questions or concerns. We talked about communication, like how they would like to be communicated to, who wants to be the primary contact. We talked about setting up a kickoff meeting in February and that type of stuff. We talked about a butter outreach and that we had already conducted some, but we wanted to do some more and I wanted to talk to them first. And we discussed specifically, I was very interested in walking them through the moving of the gate and putting in the ADA parking to make sure we were on the same page. And we are, everything is A-okay. So that's good. And we also talked about abutters and whether the option of a natural fence will come up where we can do some plantings if they want a little bit of a barrier, a natural privacy barrier between them and the trail. And they were open to that as well. So that's great. So if that comes up, you know, during our discussions with our abutters, then we will have somewhere we have a leg to stand on.
Who's the other person? Frida?
Kelly Frieda. She is the watershed regional director, and I'll fix that up when I get it. And I think Kelly is spelled K-E-L-L-E-Y.
Okay.
Okay, Frieda, F-R-E-D-A.
Yep.
Okay,
Got
and
it.
so then the big next thing I asked them was, do we have to wait for the MOA to get executed before we get started? And the answer was no. So
Really?
Yeah.
Is that new?
we weren't sure. We didn't ask yet. But he did bring up a good point. He's like, you know, where are you with the MOA? And I said, you know, we're waiting to see what they were thinking about with the volunteer agreement. And he said conversation was started, but it's moving really slow internally, right? A lot of changes happening with the new administration and everybody changes at DCR, including maybe some of the lawyers. So that conversation could take a lot longer. He did ask, he's like, well, you know, he understands why the nonprofits, that being Sudbury Valley Trustees and the Westboro Community Land Trust, why they would have issues with the indemnification, but he thought that with Marlboro and they don't have their agreement yet, but with the municipalities, we have signed before, so would we be, able to move forward? And I did say that I would be talking to the town council just to make sure he's good, because if he's good, Mark Purple's good, then we're good, and we're just going to go ahead and move forward with the agreement. Do you guys have any concerns with that? Because I had already given SVT a heads up. I don't think it doesn't jeopardize their position, because we were thinking, if we come and approach DCR as a group, we would have more leverage. So we don't think this will take away their leverage by us separating. And so there's no hard feelings or negative. And I did reach out to Priscilla Ryder of Marlboro because she is representing a municipality. They don't have their agreement yet, but I did ask her if she had any issues or thoughts about whether we should use the volunteer agreement or wait for that or the MOA. She's like, well, if we could do the volunteer agreement, it's easier, right? It's just a little bit straighter path. But it sounded like she wasn't that concerned about having to do an MOA again. She's just waiting for hers. Okay. So are there any questions around that piece?
So with that said, we can move forward with the fence.
Mhm.
We can move forward with all that work on that entrance.
Mass Trails
That'd
grant,
be-
everything under that, the signage, the fencing, and the parking.
That's really good.
Yeah. I'm breathless. I'm so excited. Yeah, so that's great news. And so what we've done is we have new fencing quotes, right? Tom, you initiated that request. And then we now we can make a decision on I'd like to today make a decision on the vendor for the fence vendor. So Will Warren was gracious enough to call 3 references for each of them, right? And it's Any Fence and Mohawk Fence. And the third one that we had reached out to get a second quote from, an updated quote, was New England Fences, but they did not reply. So what I've done is
Just put in the minutes, Shati, numerous emails,
Yep.
outreach, or however we want to
the
put
New
it.
England Fence. And so I have uploaded our quotes and our references to our OneDrive, because Melanie, the procurement officer, and Mark and Tim Davis, the recreation director, will all have access to that folder.
I think Will is a attendee. I don't know.
Oh,
if
okay.
he's
Yeah, he
stuck
said
in the wrong.
he said he was going to pop over because he's in another meeting. So I'm gonna.
Oh, he's just gonna listen then.
No, he's going to come over, I think, for just a brief moment. But this is perfect timing,
Okay.
and I'm glad I was speaking nicely about him. He was listening. Will, if you can hear us, I'm trying to promote you. And it should prompt you shortly. He may be, let me just put allowed to talk. Oh, there he is. Okay. Will, I put you as allowed to talk if you want to unmute yourself.
He's on mute though. I think
Okay,
Will.
he's in another meeting, so he may just be listening. That's fine.
All right.
So anyway, so all of that is now on SharePoint on the OneDrive. So if anyone asks, what was your process? How did you procure your vendors or secure your vendors? We can point to that, and we've followed the requirements of getting multiple quotes, and we've looked at references. So have you guys had an opportunity to look at what Will had sent over, those references for Mohawk or Any Fence? I do have them up if we wanted to take a quick moment to review them together.
I looked at the few of them that came in, but not the ones. Not the last, not the one today.
Would it be helpful if I pulled them up, or you want to take a moment just to peek at them? If it's easy, I did put them on SharePoint.
Yeah, I think you can pull it out and then we can see.
Pull it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me share screens. Let's see, which one is it?
I did glance through the older emails, but things.
I have so many things open. I don't know. Okay. Are you seeing a PDF now?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Okay, so what I can do is just this is Town of Ashland, so can you guys still read it if I put it at this
One more, let's do one more,
one more up?
yes.
Yes, now.
Okay, so this is the town of Ashland. I'm gonna scroll down so it at least stops at a reasonable point. Let me know when you're ready to scroll.
I'm fine.
I'd like to give Sati just a moment. I think Will's not paying attention right now. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one's Town of Medway. Also for any fence, so let me know when you're ready to scroll.
Okay. Yep. I mean, cheap. Then he says that is they are the lowest bid, but is that um does it mean that quality remains the same with the others, or
Are you saying, do we have to choose the lower bidder?
yeah? But what
Not in
about the
this, not in this process.
Oh, okay.
This, we have a little more of leeway.
Leeway? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so we're not
Okay.
required to. I
Okay.
especially appreciated this conversation. He knows conservation land special requirements. That's really important for where we're going to be. Should I switch to the next one?
Yep.
Okay. This is also any fence. This is from Town of Milford Parks Department.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then Mohawk number 1. This is from West Boylston Water.
Yeah.
You see 12B? Get it done in the winter.
Yes, thank you. I noted that too, so we want to get started if we can, because that's a good point. Spring is going to be very busy for folks. And we know both of them, I think, work through the winter, but that was specifically called out for any events.
Yeah. Even though ground will be frozen, I mean, supposedly, I mean, they can
Well,
still do it.
right, I don't think it's frozen quite yet. So I want to point out, so this is Mohawk Fence second reference, and the number doesn't matter, but it's from Phoenix Company, which is a Jones Street residential property. I also want to point out their second reference they provided is also a Jones Street residential company. So it's kind of like two references from the same organization, just pointing that out. Okay, let me know when I should scroll.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
So this is number 2. Oh, no, number 3, sorry.
Yeah.
Good. So, so those are the references. Does it stand out for anybody? I'll leave my opinion to the last.
No, I don't think it stands out to anyone. No one's a clear, the references didn't, in my mind, didn't give a obvious and clear preference. So with that said, what is the pricing?
Yeah, so just stop for a second. I want to just share. So I think based on our experience with both vendors, Any Fence has gone above and beyond, giving us multiple quotes. They did it in 2020, they did it in 2022, early and late in the year. Very responsive, very impressed with that, and very knowledgeable when we met. Remind me his name. They mentioned it in one of the, was it the
Dennis?
individual that came out to meet with us? I forget what his
Was
name.
it Dennis?
No,
I know, I can picture him, his
yeah,
face.
exactly. I can too. But anyway, so he was really knowledgeable, and Brian has been very responsive, and they, got the Buy America certificate back right away when we needed it for the grant, that kind of stuff. So I am leaning towards Any Fence because they've stayed with us this whole consistent way. Now I think Mohawk is an upstanding vendor, could certainly, maybe use them if we did a second project or something, but Any Fence provided 3 municipalities also. And that I really appreciate. And the fact that they were called out specifically for working in conservation land, I think it puts them just over the edge. So having said that, let's look at their quotes. So I'm going to go to the bottom line quickly, and then I'll point out some details that will be important to note. So Any Fence is $35,472, and this was just quoted in November, so things could change a little. Okay. And just for money's sakes, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Mohawk. So they're at 29,725.
And they all have the same material, right?
Pardon?
The material they are using for the fence is same for all.
I've got to double check, but the material. So one thing to note is Mohawk quoted a new fence for the gate when we're relocating.
I know, I saw that too.
And Any Fence is proposing
Oh,
reusing.
no, go back to Mohawk. They did both.
Sorry.
See up there on the top of your screen, finish. Oh, wait, I thought, was it the other one that says reuse the gate?
Yeah, Any Fence said reuse.
Finish install, okay. And so Mohawk is $6,000 less in doing a new gate. Is that what you're saying?
No, you got to add the 2 numbers. So,
Okay.
Mohawk comes to 37,
37.
and Any Fence at 35,400.
And
But Mohawk is proposing a new fence for the gate, so it will be more expensive. And it looks like they're proposing black vinyl chain link for both of them. And that was quoted in one of the references as it looks better, but it's a little more expensive. And so I just want to check something. Can I switch to Any Fence?
but that is just for the gate. Yeah.
Well,
just
it says it up here too.
Okay, so that is the water riser. So okay. Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's
And
the
I'm not-
material that they're using. Okay.
I'm
That
not
is the
concerned
material.
about it being black vinyl or not, because either way it's going to be, MWA had very specific specs, so it has to follow those specs anyway. And some of this may change a little bit if MWA sees the quote or has the discussion and it's like, oh no, we need a tweak here, a tweak there. So what we have here, let's see what they're going to do is Yeah, I don't think they're using black chain link. So, and to your point, Tom, whether the, Mohawk quoted a top bar and a bottom bar, I don't see that listed here in any fences quote, but if we want it and need it, we'll just have to, obviously approach them and do
No, I
that.
just gave it a better security. That was the New England fence guy suggested that. The bar at the bottom, so you can't pull the fence out versus just
Yeah.
a wire.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be fine either way. It just,
And, MWA may have a preference on that and they might have included something in their specs. So,
One thing I didn't understand. So black vinyl, is that the plastic? The whole chain is plastic, or it is?
I think it's still steel, but it's wrapped in that black vinyl.
it's
Oh,
like,
okay.
it's like a hard plastic spray on.
I
whatever.
see. Okay. Otherwise, it would be flimsy.
Yeah. And both of these should be prevailing wages. We talked very clearly about that. So that's why the price is a little bit higher. And it is by America. So my vote would be Any Fence. I really think it's a good vendor. I feel very confident with their references, and I would be able to stand behind our decision 100%. If anyone were to question us, for example.
How much is that coming to?
Any Fence is at 35.4, but again, this estimate may change a little when MWA gets involved and says, hey, we need this or we need that. So.
And they are not new. They might reuse the.
Just the gate area.
Just the gate. Okay.
Yeah. And we may ask them, what would it cost to not do that? So
To
it
do
might
what? Not to do what?
to go ahead and put a new gate in. Maybe DCR wants a new gate at that intersection when we move the gate, the access gate.
I think we should, if we're gonna go with Any Fence, we should actually have them put it in the quote.
Yep.
I mean, they're reusing the gate, but everything else is new, so that should be pretty easy. We looked at that gate. It's ready to be reused. It was all rusted. Remember when the
Well, it wasn't all rusted. He pointed out a few rust spots that it started to rust.
Right. So why are we moving a rusty thing when we're buying everything nice and new?
Yep. And DCR might require and want a new one. So this will go up a little bit. Mhm.
Yes. Go back to the other quote. What did they put in for their? I'm not saying everybody's pricing the same. That was 87. The gate. Now, what's their comments? A 4-foot black link fence with. Can you scroll down a little bit? Yeah, okay. Finish install 4-foot black chain link fence. So in this one with Mohawk, everything's a black. Everything's gonna look black.
Yep. And if we prefer that, we can ask Any Fence to include that. Me personally, this is a fence that's outside for a riser shaft. If it's steel or black, I don't mind either way. It's really what the specs need to be from WA's perspective.
I agree.
If it lasts a little longer, then maybe it's worthwhile, but I don't care if it's black or steel. If it were in my yard, different story. And it's still going to look nice because they have a fence that goes around the pumping station. It looks fine, whatever it is.
So if all things are equal, their Mohawk's gate is 8,700. If I remember, Any Fence with reusing the fence was 4,500 or 4,700. We just call it. So it's about $4,000 for the gates. If
It may or may not be. I mean,
I know, I'm just saying the worst case, it should be about $4,000 for the gate.
right. So at that,
So
They're going up to 39.
They will be painting it, or I mean,
no,
No, it comes from the factory that way.
no. The gate, reusing the existing gate, they will be painting it, or I mean, refurbishing it, or.
that's a good idea. Could we maybe do something like that? Yeah.
We're getting my vote is a new gate. I
Yeah.
don't want to move a crappy thing over. It
That's
already
fine.
has signs of rust.
That's fine. I'm comfortable with that too. It will last longer for us and less of an investment, longer term, but I do vote for Any Fence.
That's fine. I'm okay with Any Fence. I just say we should ask them to just if we want to. Update it for a new entrance gate, not to reuse.
We can do that. Okay, what do you think, Sati?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean,
Because they're
Uh,
within less than 10% of each other.
Yeah,
Say it
they're
comes in
really
at
close.
39 to 37, that's $2,000.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think Mohawk is a great company, so I think having a relationship with both, if we ever needed something again. It was interesting, one of the references said we like to spread our work around several local vendors, and that's a nice gesture. So,
Yeah, to Tom's point, the thing is having a new gate will be good. The other thing is why they are still charging like half of that cost for reusing the gate. I mean, that kind of, so why not have a new gate itself,
right, and
'Cause-
there's fencing on either side of it.
Yeah.
And what we did determine, Tom, remember when we did the walkthrough with Mohawk, we might not need as much fencing as they currently have when we move it because of
Mhm.
existing trees and barriers that will prevent people from walking around. So we might be able to shorten that fence requirement and focus on putting it into a new fence and still keep the cost the same.
Right, and actually just, we talked about boulders, moving a boulder there. Yep.
As a nice rock feature. I like that.
Yep.
Okay, so let's take a vote because this is a bigger deal and we're spending money. So does someone want to make a motion to approve the moving forward with the fence for the riser shaft and gate at the Peninsula Trail and using any fence as the vendor?
So moved.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I seconded.
Great, let's all in favor. Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, all in favor. Motion passes, and we have a fence vendor. How exciting. So as part of the next step, I have already reached out to Brian Valentine, Heidi, and Carla, and Melanie, and copied Tim, and asked, hey, we're ready to move forward with the fencing vendors. I just want to make sure that we're all in the know and clear on how we're spending Mass Trails money. We're going to use CPA to first pay for the fence, and then we get reimbursed by Mass Trails. We want to make sure that process is really clear and that we can't mess it up. And also, considering ARPA in the other bucket, and we're about to move forward with all of this stuff. So please keep us, posted. I've asked for a meeting, January 26th and 27th, a Thursday or Friday at 8 a.m. And if anyone wants to come, we can have one other person come. We just can't have quota, which is 3 quorum, sorry. And so we'll see what comes from that. I'd like to have a conversation with them just to make sure we're all on the same page, take detailed notes, have it for our record. And Tim did reply and gave us some good feedback on how that process should work. It should be pretty straightforward. And he gave some tips on working with CPC, CPA, CPC for CPA funding, and how that process works. I also, because this fencing and the signage was part of our original CPA application for CPC. And so I've reached out to them to ask if we can attend a future meeting and let them know we're ready to do kickoff. The pricing has changed a little bit, and let them, just give them a quick status update and make sure we're all in a good, on the same page about how we're moving forward. So
We're
those-
just talking about this fencing stuff, right?
Yep, that's just fencing stuff.
So, but that's coming out of the Mass Trails grant.
Right, but we're paying for it with.
I know.
CPA.
So the message to the CPC should be, we're gonna pay the vendor
With your
with the
money.
CPC funds to then get reimbursed by the Mass Trails.
Yeah, and then what we would do with that money is reapply, or we have to figure out how that works with the other part of the project.
Oh, those things have nothing to do. That's just a billing, accounts receivable, accounts payable, cash flow.
Yeah, but I want to make sure that everything's transparent and that there's no surprises. And then with CPA, there was a contingency of a few $1,000s. So you can't spend that unless you have a qualifying event. So I need to understand if a price increase based on supply chain issues and such would qualify, which I think it would, but we just need to go through that process and see if we're allowed to have that contingency yet, or if what documentation we need to provide to release those funds in addition to make the full 47.
I think I'm missing something. We got $50,000. We're only
47.
spending, let's just say $40,000.
But we have
We have-
signage too.
I know, but why are we talking about contingency and stuff? Is the signage that expensive?
Yeah, the signage, the shipping is expensive. The signage is roughly what, between 8 and 10,000. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the contingency is on that part of it. But do we have
So-
firm quotes for the signage?
We do, we have firm quotes, but we need to get re-quoted for 2 of the other vendors.
Oh, that's what Isabel was doing, right? She was talking with the sign vendors.
Isabel Murphy was on sign vendor.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
really, if we get updated quotes, why don't we bundle both of those? Again, that's against the $50,000 for Mass Trails. Instead of doing 2 meetings, here's the 2 things that went over because of
Well,
the
yeah, I
process
mean,
stuff.
yes, by then we'll have everything. I'm not suggesting 2 different meetings. I'm suggesting that bundled package, like you said, is what we're gonna be talking about. Yes.
Now, depending on how much that goes over, we still have something in our back pocket, the thing that Warren mentioned, $1,000 from.
I have to go to ADA, so I missed their meeting last week, so I have to approach another meeting, and that money, that 1,000 though, needs to be focused on accessibility. So it's
Got
not just refunding, it needs to improve the trail for accessibility purposes, one way or another. A trail, it doesn't have to be this trail. But that is out there. The other thing is, now that we have a notice to proceed from Mass Trails, all of this time that we are spending talking about these fencing quotes, everything is on the clock. So I have the form up, and I'll switch to that in just a minute. So I think we started talking about it after the minutes. So I would say we started at like 7:40. And now, for example, it's 8, we'll probably go a few more minutes. So we're gonna wanna, each time we have a meeting, we're gonna log our time in our own little Excel trackers. Every time we send an email and every time we meet with somebody, we track that time, because all of this is in-kind support. Now, the fun fact is, I thought our notice to proceed was going to be effective the date we received it, which was 1/10/2023, which means Tom and I met with those vendors and all that stuff for free. Well, the notice to proceed is effective as of the date signed below,
Oh, that's good then.
12/6, right? So that means that's really good, because I spent a ton of time in December that I can now log as towards the grant, which I did not think we could, because we had not received the notice to proceed.
That's when we met all the vendors.
Oh, when
in
did we meet?
December.
We met them
met
in late December, right? It was right before, I mean, not any fence, because they
It
had
was-
already come out.
Was it Mohawk there's 2 of
Mohawk
them
and New
came out.
England.
New
Yeah.
England and Mohawk came out.
Yeah,
and
I was with Mohawk, but you did New England by yourself. So you can log that time you were with him,
We
and the
were-
coordination time.
We were both with one of them, and then we
Yeah.
were individual with the other one.
Exactly. So what I have here is I'm gonna pull up, can you see this Excel spreadsheet?
No,
You can. Silliness. Okay. Here we go. Oh, let me just share the screen and then you should be able to. All right, I'm gonna pull this away. Can you see the notice to proceed?
I see the guidance of reimbursement of expenditures.
You only see a spreadsheet
Just a
I agree.
spreadsheet now.
and I'm moving it around.
No.
Oh.
Now you are.
All
Yep.
right, okay. All right, so this is the reimbursement worksheet we have to submit on occasion. So this is expenditure check, so this is guidance for match individual, match event day, match equipment. So match individual, I think, yes. So this is our time tracking worksheet, right? So we will each have one of these time tracking worksheets, and we'll put the date, our name, and the tasks accomplished. And we don't have to write a paragraph, but let's be detailed enough and do our due diligence, like met with fence vendor to review, quote, to review specs of the project. Coordinated with, sent emails and coordinated the site visits, took 20 minutes, whatever it is. Our hourly rate is a set hourly rate based on the state's volunteer rate. So I'm going to scroll a little bit because I think it's actually in here. Can you see I've switched screens? So for 2021, it's $36.38, right? So that is going to be the number we use. Now it's for 2021. They don't have one for 2022 yet.
Well, but the stuff we did in December would be that 36,
Yeah,
38.
but even the stuff we do now in 2023 will be this hourly rate because it takes them a while to set the rates. So if, say, next year they update the rate, we can update it when it becomes effective again.
Mhm.
So does that make sense? You guys understand? And I'll make sure we'll have each a copy. And when I do progress reports, now this is going to be tricky. I don't want to have to chase time. I have to do this for work. So I track time. We are a consulting company. Every 5 minutes is tracked to some project somewhere. So we're all trained, hyper trained to track time. If you're not hyper trained to do so, it's really quite annoying. And I promise you, trying to go back and track time that you spent last week is literally, it's impossible and it takes a long time. And you won't be right about it. So my recommendation is to try to train ourselves as soon as we do a task to write it down, either in a notebook or something, or have our notebook, have our Excel notebook ready and track it in there. And then if we can collect these each month, I think our progress reports are due like in May and September. But if we get in the habit of just submitting a monthly, then I can go ahead and update the trackers and it doesn't have to be a big deal. And so I think what will also be important is we have each have benchmarks based on the estimates that I provided for our match. And those were just estimates because I didn't really know. And so I think it's all important if we all have our benchmarks and then we try to meet our mark. Honesty and integrity, of course, is the way to go. We're not looking for something we haven't done. So just err on the side of conservative. If you're not sure, don't fudge or add numbers just to meet our goal.
What exactly constitutes a time spent? What kind of activity?
All activity focused on the project for the fencing and the signage that's listed under Mass Trails Grant.
So when we meet every week.
Yeah,
is
like
that
right
a-
now.
Okay,
So in your chart, you put today's date is the 17th.
Yes.
We'll just say 30 minutes.
Yep.
Discuss the applications, tracking quotes.
Yep.
Yep.
Selected fence vendor, that type of stuff. And Will's time that he spent doing the all of the reference checks,
Calls.
that will be
Mhm.
tracked as well, right? So yeah. So that's good. And then I think the time I spend doing the reporting is also considered in-kind support. I took some notes on that. I have to double check that. But yeah, so I think we'll be okay, but that in-kind support's really important. We don't want to miss the mark on that. We don't want to say that we can match a certain number and not meet that number. And if we can't and we see we're not going to, let's come up with an early plan, because then that might be that if we do get specs, wonderful offer of $1,000, we might be able to contribute that to the project as match. If we have to do those plantings for our neighbors, we can consider that as part of the match. So there are some options that we can do here. Yeah, so, and I did talk to DCR because one outstanding question mark I had was, will DCR be okay with the type of signage that we had proposed, the double pedestal kind of professional looking signs, and they absolutely loved the idea. So that was a huge hit too. So that's that.
Now, just to put in the notes, these in-kind stuff gives us additional funds from the Mass Trail. So what, I guess, maybe I forgot. Why are we tracking this?
Yep, let me explain. So let me pull up,
But just for the fencing, not anything else. This is the Mass Trails, right?
it's
Yep.
the fencing and the signage bundle.
Yeah.
right? That's the
Yep.
project, right? So, right, so our total, right, so we've got a grant for 50,000 and you have to have at least 20% match, right?
Okay, so that's $10,000.
Right, but you have to add that in. You have to add it to the top of the 50, right? And then take 20.
Oh, double count it.
That's right. Anyway,
All right,
That's
so
how-
that's 60, so that's 12, that's 72.
right, so that's how they've said to do it. So we basically, our match is $30,572.
So
And
no, before that, so what we have to do in match is minimum is $22,000.
no, it's $30,572. Do you see my screen?
I do, but I'm just saying by what you told me, we got $50,000
We have an
and it has to
amendment.
be 20% is 10,000. That it's a total of 60, then 20% of that is another 12,000, that's $72,000.
It's at least 20%. And we've put in paper and in writing that this is going to be our match based on.
Okay, okay, I understand that, but really,
Okay.
what we only really had to do is 22,000.
What we really only had to do.
If we're going for a grant for $50,000 and you mentioned the 20% and the 20%,
Yep, yep.
that equals another $22,000 above the 50. But in kind. I'm just making sure we are above the minimum that's needed, because you mentioned a formula, 20%
Yeah,
and
we are.
20%.
We are. Yeah, and they had a
And the minimum would be $22,000.
right, they had a worksheet that we had to use, and that made sure that you were accurate. And so our initial project was our what's it called? Match was a lot higher, right? Because we were calculating hours for a larger project.
Oh, yeah.
So we brought it way down because we had to right size it with this project.
Yes, just one question. So 20% of the whole amount, and then 20% of the 60% of the remaining, how of the amount, how that works? There are two 20%, right?
Yes, according to what Catherine said, there's two
Well,
20%.
there shouldn't be two 20%, but basically your project, say your project cost. So
But no, just use our real numbers. $50,000 is what our grant, but the project
right,
or the
so
grant?
you would say, all right, what's 20,050? It's a 20% is 10,000, right? But
Yeah.
what they do with that is they take that 10,000 and then they add it to the 50.
Yeah, that's
That's the
60,000.
total project cost, right? Then it's 60,000. And then you do your
Okay.
20% on 60,000.
Which is 12,000.
Yeah, so that would be your minimum match.
70, that means added all that number up is 72,000.
Well,
And
no,
then- Oh, it's either way, it's 22,000.
I see what you did. I see what you mean. No, you can't do that. Yeah, okay. So what I'll do is I'll send you the documentation. You guys can read it because we're gonna spend 3 hours on this.
I know, yeah, that's
And
good.
I agree, like I had to have them explain it 3 times because I was like, I don't understand why you just don't take 20%. And the formula that they use is 25% of the grant. So then it gets really confusing because they're like, well, no, it's just easier that way. I'm like, okay. So yeah, so I guess this has our match. Our original match was 87 and now it's 30,000. So
Yeah.
it came down significantly.
And but
Okay.
majority of that in match is the DPW.
Right, 22, and that may go up a little bit, which would be kind of good because it just relieves a little pressure on the in-kind support for our volunteer hours. But I think we're probably going to be okay with volunteer hours. So that's the grant. So one of the next steps is talking and reestablishing our relationship with Southborough, with Framingham Conservation, but we'll talk about that when we talk about the bid. So are we good and comfortable with the Mass Trails grant? I think we've covered everything we're reach out to our vendors. I'm gonna make sure Mohawk gets a big thank you from us. They were really great, highly recommended, also, but I think we have a little bit of a, I'm comfortable with the decision we made.
Yep, I'm fine.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to move to
Can,
bid?
one more question from notes point of view. So we are having you are proposing a meeting with the Mass Trail folks on 27th.
Oh,
Or-
no, that's on internally. Brian is with the finance team and accounting team rather, to work out the Mass Trails grant / CPA / ARPA funding spending.
Okay, so with the internal team, town, who are those?
Oh, Brian Valentine, Carla McCullough,
Yeah, I think so.
and Heidi Lindsay,
Lindsay.
Linse.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have copied Melanie Tuska, she's the procurement officer, and Tim Davis, the recreation director, because he's involved in most of these conversations. And is the department head that the expenses come through. So that's that. Okay,
Thanks.
good there, and we can move to the bid if you're ready.
Yep.
Oh, don't look at my email. Are you looking at my email?
No, we can only see the same document. There you go. All right, I'm gonna bring up that document on my big screen so I can see it better.
Yeah, and this is the good thing, and we can be in it at the same time. Okay, Sati, do you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so the only thing I did on this page was I added our logo with the town logo, and I added pre-bid site visit and Q&A deadline here because I thought having those call out information would be helpful up front.
Mhm.
I didn't pretend to put dates in or anything. So I didn't touch this page. This was all stuff.
I have a slight, which page is it? If you can make that a little bit bigger. Oh, perfect. Oh, that's even better. Actually, now I can use yours.
Oh, I'm sorry. You should always say bigger. All right, do you want me to scroll down?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll just tell you where I wanted to make discuss a slight change. Well, I'm good with all this. This is really good.
Okay, so Sati, have you had an opportunity to take a look at this? And you can offline to take a look at it, but basically last time we had, and you'll also see in the OneDrive, there's some sample bids that we just did a little bit of research to see what does a bid like this look like. So we tried to follow a protocol, and I'm noticing something here. We tried to follow, what others kind of have done in a, oh, I see. To help provide some guidance, right? That's what we've done. And so we have about the Trails Committee, we have about the project a little bit.
Yeah.
And I added down here, coordinate with MWA, Southborough Conservation Commission, Framingham, Rexon.
Do I want to put, yeah, that's good. Yep.
And by the way, I did talk to DCR and I said, how would you, so this project, the ARPA bucket project, is taking place on MWA property. And I asked DCR, do you want to be involved? How are you involved? How do you want to be, kept in the loop? And they just want to be kept in the loop. They don't need to be in the approval process, but they did lead me to some people at MWA that we might want to, the grounds people that we might want to talk to, or the operations people that might be helpful in the process. So that is the next step, is to when we do our kickoff meeting. We do have to wait for DPW superintendent to get in place. Has anyone heard if that person accepted the position, or if we have a superintendent now?
I don't remember recalling any announcement yet. But that doesn't, I mean, I haven't heard anything on myself, but I'll put it that way.
Yeah, let me just double check if we have any.
Usually they
Oh.
send an email, right?
Yeah, okay. So Tom, you had looked at this, and Sati, if you had an opportunity to take a peek at about the project. I tried to keep it a little high level and just, not
Mhm.
really sure what we're.
It looks good, I think, at a glance.
Okay, so project description. Some of the samples really went into a lot of detail about bench cut and the type of tread and the da 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 da. And I think we talked a little bit about this last time, Tom. And this is for your benefit, Sati, is that we felt like we want an expert to come to us with the expertise, and we don't want to outline everything and become experts trying to write the bid. So we want to provide enough guidance and detail for a bidder to understand what they need, but we're not going to try to pretend that we're the experts and know how to write how every tread should be, right? So that's why, just keeping that in the back of your mind as we look through this. So let's take a look at the project components. I have tightened it up a little bit and added a little bit here and there.
Is this in? Well, we'll go through it in logical order, starting from left to right. Left
Yes.
is coming into the trail, and I think you did do that. I think I
That
made
is how I
note.
did that, yeah.
Okay.
And I questioned whether I should, but it's how I visualize it, so I just kept it that way.
The only thing, if you want to scroll down, they get the project managers. Just start with 2, I guess.
What was that?
Just scroll so that number 2 is on the top of your screen.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So again, picky. 3C, we're talking about now the boardwalk over the wetlands there.
Yes, yeah, and we should call it elevated boardwalk.
Okay. C is what I want to do is I like it, include costs associated with any PE stamp drawings, engineering site and assessments, and plan review of not bridge. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's the eyeball I need.
And any local permitting cost, which I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think down below in the bridge, you do have it. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And what I decided to do, because I thought I want to be able to use the Student Conservation Association. We talked about that last time. How do we bridge them into this? Like, we have a reserved kind of spot with them. So I thought, what if we made it part of this requirement? Like, that we want to save costs and we know we can do this. We've already reserved them, and we might get some pushback from Tim. I'm not sure, but I'd like to try to do it, and calling it a boardwalk kit helps us be able to
that
use
part.
that.
Do you want to put in, like, after this whole section, we could put in exactly what you said about using that army of people.
I did.
But the only thing is, do we want the army of people? Okay, we go across the bridge. We still need a little bit of trail work from there to connect to the existing one.
That's this. Build
No,
180
no, we're after 6. We're across the bridge.
across the bridge across Stony Brook. Yeah,
Okay, there's no trail there.
yeah, there is.
No, we have to connect it. It's still, how far is it from there to the trail itself?
There's a
number.
trail there. You mean when you cross the
From
bridge, we're there. At the end, right there where you're just hanging
I
out.
thought it was a distance to where that Thomas Street is. From the water.
It's only a small distance, and there was a trail there, so we don't need people to build that out.
Why would there be a trail there? It doesn't go anywhere. It's a dead end.
Exactly, it's always been there.
But,
It just dead ends. It's dead ended.
oh, it does.
there.
Okay, maybe I just didn't notice that. Okay, never mind.
And we haven't encouraged traffic beyond that intersection for this reason, because it is a dead end. Right?
Okay, if it's there, I just don't remember it. That's all. That's fine. Okay, so we're number
Where are we?
6. So
Oh,
we
actually, I want to back up to 4 if you don't mind. I think I want to take this gas line thing out. That's going to come up during the site visit, and I don't think it needs to be here. Everybody okay with that?
How
I
do
think
we know that there is a gas line? I mean,
Because I've done the site visit before, and there's big things there. There's the gas line thing that says I'm a gas line.
But
Oh,
why
is
do you
that
want to take
okay?
it out? I think it's information that we want to make sure
That,
they
that
don't.
they'll uncover during the site visit. I think it's unnecessary detail is my thought.
My idea is, why are we hiding it? Let's
Oh,
make sure
it's not
everybody knows.
hiding it. That's a perspective. I'm not hiding it. I'm
It's a
like-
perspective. To me, it's like, why are we removing it, and let them find out when they do the site visit? Well, no, let's just tell them it's there.
Well, it doesn't matter that it's there. It's just a detail. So we can leave it. That's fine.
But
Maybe we
is
can
it
make a
is
little-
it going to impact anything? I mean,
They just have to call DigSafe and carry on like
Yeah.
we did on the other side. We did it for Pine Hill.
no, but is it
Um,
is the trail, the construction crossing this line or?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, then it is, yeah, this is important.
Yep.
So my gut says keep it in there because it's information and we know about it.
Okay.
And and to me, it's like, why are we trying to trick them to say that, oh, we found it?
So please reframe this. I am not trying to trick anybody or hide information. It's more about just provide the relevant information and then,
Mhm.
you know, that's all. Like
You
more
can even
words.
make that
I
allow,
use
you
a
know,
lot of words. Have you noticed?
yeah, you can even just put in parentheses, you don't even have to do an A, just put crosses National Bridge, or we'll make a 1 and reference it at the bottom of it. I don't, it's,
Fine. Is
To me,
gas line one
it's-
word or two?
excuse me?
Is gas line one word or two?
I guess it's 1 line, 1 word.
I think it's,
If you just right click it,
oh, it's two. It looks like it's two. Okay.
so what's the?
I think
what's
it
the
just
thing
wants a
it-
period or something. It wants an end.
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Oh, yeah,
picky.
okay. Okay, now we cross that stuff. We have a nice little boggy, wet, get your feet wet. Number 5. I like how you put 1 and 2. Because let's don't leave it. The site plan will dictate that, and that's fine. Yeah, but I'm fine with number 5. So we go across the bog, which is that number 3, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're doing a trail across the open field / pipeline. Then we got some wet area, which is number 5 is. And number 6 is the big one, the bridge. Procure, install. I mean, I'm fine with that too. Because I think we cover our bases by your A, 6A. Include costs associated with engineering stamps, drawings, footings, engineering assessments, and plan review of bridge and any local permitting costs for Southborough and Framingham, which there will be.
But remember, Framingham waived those as in-kind support for the project. We just have to reestablish our relationship and have them say yes again, because we do have a letter of support from them stating that. But
Does that count of our bucket of money?
no, this is second bucket. This is, sorry, second bucket.
Oh, yeah,
ARPA.
no,
And I
sorry,
keep doing that
sorry.
too. I keep getting confused. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, we switched topics around 10:15, so technically 8:15 rather. So our time, we spent about 30 minutes on the topic of that we should all track time to, just saying.
Do you want to put that in the minutes, Sati? Just say 30
We
minutes
each
of
spent 30 minutes, so 30 for all of us.
30 minutes for the project discussion.
For the-
trails,
For the Mass Trails grant.
Mass
project.
Trails grant.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry to switch topics. So, yeah, so this is the ARPA bucket, so we don't have to. It would be interesting though, I might just for kicks track time, because I've always wondered how much I spend a week, a month. Don't you?
No.
Okay,
so-
so
Can we,
Yeah.
well, actually, I'll do it on my screen. I think we need, hang on. Scroll up to like before 1. Go all the way before, okay, right here. Project description. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's scroll down. This is my other comment, and this is just maybe a clarification. Keep on going all the way down. Okay, the project stops at 6. That is the project. Now 7, 8, 9 is,
oh, these are more the additional project requirements and specifications.
yeah, I would, yes.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, yeah, even the number 9, yeah.
Well, I didn't really, when I was reading 7, 8.
It's true. Those are project components and what, you're right. These I'm gonna take out. You ready?
You can still, I mean, I think they're important points.
No,
don't
no,
you?
of course. No, they're not going away.
Okay.
Just gonna put them
There,
down.
there you go.
I'm not quite sure. Let me see. I don't want to get lost because there's so much down here. Let me just see.
Well, let's put the
Maybe-
importance of it.
Let's try that.
Contractor, so keep all the contractor requirements.
All right, here.
Yeah,
Oops. I'm gonna be really specific.
no, Forbeck, and no, I would just mention the three things. We have the nature, the trail itself. Let's put all three. We
Where are
really
you?
have a, right there, you were, example. The trail itself, the earthen trail boardwalk.
Oh, okay.
Just the three, yeah, thank you. Surface trail, yeah, perfect.
And then we put down here, the use of volunteers is strongly encouraged for trail building and bog bridge
It
construction.
is encouraged, but not like a requirement.
Right, so this is, I want it to be a requirement because it is part of the cost, right? If we have to go to quote and have real, I shouldn't say that, and we have different labor than we've already quoted, our price is going to be far more than our budget. Our budget was based on using SCA. So that's why I
Right.
think it's important that we keep it in here.
Yep.
And by the way, their cost went from 95 to 10.5, but that's $1,000. It's fine.
Cost of
But-
food.
But the language is, I mean, one side we are at the top, we are saying it is a requirement. And the other, in the point we are saying user is encouraged.
Yes. So, but volunteers are different than the Student Conservation Association. The Student Conservation Association are paid labor. It's paid labor. It's not
Yep.
considered volunteers. Does that make sense, Sati?
I mean, yeah, it makes sense for the student volunteers, but the use of volunteers, this is some, I mean, I don't know if that is the kind of language that is being used, that's fine, but one is requirement and the other thing is you are saying that it is encouraged. So they
This is
may
not-
no,
these
no,
are not-
not this one, not
I
this
know
one.
these are not volunteers. So that's why I distinguish between,
Oh, no,
volunteer.
I think Sati's angst is, this is requirements and specifications, and then you have their words
Oh.
strongly encouraged.
Encouraged, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, what should we do? Take it out of here and put it somewhere else, or?
Or maybe an asterisk and then put it on, as a
Is like a intangible thing or
Right.
cost savings. Do we have another section underneath this one? No, we don't.
Not where this would fit. Yeah, so I
I know what Sati's is saying, and it's,
could it just be a specification? I mean, it's
it
encouraged.
is a specification that is strongly encouraged.
okay.
I mean, I
Mm.
hear you, but I wonder if, yeah, and it might get flagged. If it gets flagged, then,
Yeah, okay.
I see what you mean, though.
You can, trail design and construction include environmental. Yeah,
And I put easily removed because let me just bring up to our point. If they flag invasives that require thousands and thousands of dollars worth of removal, we don't have budget for that. We want to do the best we can, but so what can we do to help put a boundary
budget,
around?
well, why don't we do, budget should include the contingency of identification of invasive species along the trail that can be easily removed. In other words, their bid's gonna say blah, 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 blah. And they're gonna say, in our contingency for invasive species, we have $2,500, I'm making that. To use to get rid of that. We have that little bucket of $2,500 to get rid of invasive species.
But the point, the bullet point says something else, and then we are trying, one thing we are saying that we want to mitigate the impact
Yes.
on the wildlife, and other thing, this doesn't make sense in this bullet point, because you are saying that we want to identify the invasive species. That is not protecting the wildlife.
Well, so there's two things going on. One is trail design and construction should include environmental mitigation measures to minimize impacts to the area and wildlife. Right? So the area being the wetland. And one of the mitigation strategies for when you're in wetlands building trails is one thing you can do is help remove invasives. That specific act has nothing to do with wildlife. You're correct. But it does have to do with minimizing impacts. Well, it doesn't have to do with minimizing.
Yeah,
impacts.
but
It has to do with mitigation measures too. Okay, so mitigation measures to what? Make it better that we're in the.
because it is,
no.
so this thing is not happening because we are constricting the removal of invasive species is not happening because we are constructing something. I mean, it is not the impact of the construction. They are there.
I
Right.
understand, Sati, we're trying to do something good for the environment, right? And one of the ways you can do something good for the environment when you're in there mucking around is to, while you're in there mucking around, take out some invasives and plant something nice. So how do we say that?
I said bid should include a contingency for the identification of invasives along the trail that will be disturbed because we don't want them to go willy-nilly, and that no one wants to do willy-nilly all around. But bid should include a contingency for identification of invasives along the trail that can be easily removed along the trail being disturbed. You really want to get a little bit trail in parentheses being disturbed that can easily be removed.
Being
It can be
impacted or
easily
yeah.
eradicated. Being impacted that can be easily, yeah, comma, being impacted that can be easily remediated or exterminated or whatever the word is.
Invasives along the trail, on the newly constructed trail.
Yeah.
It's
Environmental mitigation and betterment measures
say
It's
what?
not a budget. It's not a budget.
include.
It's
It is a
bid.
but so it is
No.
about budget. If they come back and say it's going to cost $5,000 to do this, we don't want to do it. So how do we? And the reason I have it highlighted is for discussions. Like, how do we say within reason? Like it's going to
Well,
be.
you can't. They're gonna. That's all goodwill. How am I gonna win this
Right.
bid? How am I gonna win this bid? You know what? I got $5,000 in this thing for invasive species. I wonder
But we
how
don't
much
want
everybody else is doing it.
But
No,
we didn't budget for that. We only budgeted for like 2,000, maybe 1,000 for any kind of native thing, and we
But
can't.
they
put a
can
number in.
eat this in their project.
What?
Your project is still gonna come to a whole number. They're not gonna break down. They're only gonna tell us this part of the budget.
But if we're scoping it out to be like, oh, they want to remove some invasives, let's remove some invasives. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. And then they put in for $5,000 and the project is that much more.
Well, at
That's
least we know they put in $5,000 and we're like, no, we have to cut some things and we'll cut back. I mean, it's either we put it in or we don't. And I don't.
We have to
Within-
put it in. The reason we have to put it in is because we proposed this to select board and to the ARPA committee, and this was part of the project component. So I'm trying to be very consistent so we don't change scope because everyone gets in trouble when you start to.
Which is
change
fine. I
scope.
just don't think the word budget in a bid is the right word.
No, that's fair. I mean, I put it in highlights so we could talk about how to frame it and give it some boundaries. So we're not free for all, or we're not.
One, one thing we can add, Kat, environmental mitigation and betterment measures.
There you, thank you. That's environment mitigation and betterment measures.
Betterment, yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't find the right, all right, to, and maybe it's not to minimize impacts, but it's to offset.
Offset, yep. Yep, that's,
And maybe we don't talk about wildlife because it's really not about.
yeah, I mean, that's, we
Mm.
didn't,
No, I think wildlife appreciates
It's-
native species.
it's
So,
fine,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, okay. Right, that's good. That's much better. A contingency to identify, why are we?
No, you don't want, okay. If you need a contingency to identify invasive species while you're just walking by it.
we need the word a contingency. So budget should include identification of invasives along the newly constructed trail that can be easily.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Does that work? Does that accomplish the same objective? And easily removed, is that the way to?
No, it's instead of remove, that's the other word.
I mean, that's easily is
Eradicate.
relative term.
It can be easily eradicated.
Is that how you spell it? And I'm putting easy in there for a reason.
I know.
Does that make sense, Sati?
Yeah.
I know it's subjective, but I'm trying to
Mhm.
make a point, and like, we don't want a hard eradication. We want an easy. Okay, does that work?
It's okay.
Yeah.
What's the matter, Tom? Come on.
Budget, why is a bid a budget? Bid should include.
The budget.
Why you
should-
say
okay,
budget?
Okay.
Yeah, I think
In other
that's a
words,
good
if-
thing. That's a
They
that's a
should
good
include-
term, because the thing is, we don't want to like
Okay,
keep on bringing in the budget. This should include. That's
I had budget on the brain.
So I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, and then propose purchase and plant native plantings.
That's
Or
very
native
open-ended.
it should, yeah.
That's open. So are we planting everything along the whole trail?
No, what do you mean? I want it along the trail, like,
You gotta put some definition of what you mean, because we have a very long trail.
along the edges of the trail. I just mean, I don't want to go out in the world and like, we're not trying to plant everything everywhere. It just needs to be along the trail. Like, we're trying to, the area that we're working in. So how should we say it? That's along the trail where it makes as needed, where it makes sense, where
Where,
appropriate.
where it was disturbed.
I don't want to use the word disturb because it
I
means
know.
disturbing.
For offsetting,
Offsetting, disturbed areas.
We're reasonable.
And that's so, it's very open-ended, I think. It's like, what do you mean by that? How much?
yeah. So how?
Well, you
so-
just wouldn't let me put a limit on it up above. Now you're concerned about.
Oh, I
me.
wanted to put it in a separate line item so that we know how much they put in there, but.
So how can we
and-
limit it?
you-
Along a certain section, along a limited section?
Okay, so if you go into the wetlands to build a house or driveway or whatever. And you disturb it and fill it in a little bit, then you have to do, I forgot what the words are. Then you have to actually create some more wetlands to offset what you took away.
Hmm.
Only in some cases do you have to create more. I don't know if you have to create more wetland or you just, you plant native species or you plant something that's good for the environment because you took a little
To
something away.
equal the amount of disturbance that you did.
oh,
So
you think so that's
would we
what the
want to do
offset is.
something
Yeah.
along that line there saying,
Well, that might be the interpretation of that to equal what we've done for damage might mean massive. I don't really know.
My thoughts is this might not be the way they do things, but if we're creating a trail, the 4 foot, that's the new thing. That shouldn't be penalized. But if they have a big tractor on the side of it, that's also 4 feet that rips up all the ground. That whole ripping up of the ground next to the trail should be of the, all replanted, like you said. Of native plant species.
Well, first, they're not going to use a big tractor.
I know, but you know what I meant. Anything around the trail that they disturbed excessively. We have to think of some words there. I don't. Along a limited section, they'll be like, what do you mean by that?
All right, I'm gonna put this.
No,
in highlight.
that's good. That's putting in yellow lines out, but that gives it more distinction. To offset, to
Yeah, offset. Yeah.
remediate disturbance.
To remediate,
Remediate, is that?
I don't know if that's a word. To remediate disturbance. I mean, all those same words.
yeah, same.
Remediate
offset
is to
to-
provide a remedy for.
Yeah, so remediate is good there. So it's something like that to
Okay,
offset to remediate. construction disturbance.
trail construction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. So we'll work that in. All
Yep.
right.
Oh, good.
Okay, so, you guys read, I don't know if you read this footnote. So when I put the first kit in, and I want to double check this. So when I put procure and install an ADA compliant boardwalk kit with a footnote, the bridge, it also applies to the footbridge kit, but I don't put a footnote here.
You gotta
So-
put the same footnote if it applies to the same thing.
Can I?
Yeah, you can both of them reference one.
Yeah,
Because I think that would be more clear. See, it does number 2 automatically, because I don't think you can, it technically should. But we could put same as footnote 1.
Or you can put the same thing and just say boardwalk on one and bridge on the other and remove the, because it's both, it's basically the same thing. One says boardwalk, one says, well, yeah, thank you.
mhm,
I'm fumbling on words.
mhm.
Thank you.
But this was to give them an idea of why we're doing the kit. It's a really, it's important because this was something we talked to with the consultant about, that that the kits are usually very appealing because they're easy to assemble. You don't need heavy equipment. It's gonna disturb the ground, to your point about having a big tractor there. And because it is an environmentally sensitive area, we don't want that type of stuff. So this is a reason why the kit is important. And then Student Conservation Association comes in there as being important. So then I put in there for, of course, lodging is required for the Student Conservation Association, and that Knobscot.
Now, one last thing in those 1 and 2 bullets, and we could talk 2 minutes about. Do we want to put a link to the example of that? Do we have that? No, not that.
No, but
about
you
the kit,
raised
about
a
the
good
kit.
point. I meant to do that on this one, but go ahead. I'm listening.
No, for the kit itself, you referenced number 1 about a kit.
Yeah.
Well, for illustration purposes, and you could give them the link.
Oh, well,
that
so
guy.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that, Tom.
For
Because
illustration purposes.
I think they're smart enough. People in this industry know what that means.
Okay, then
I think
that's.
we
then it's
might
not
get
worth
in
it.
trouble if we're directing them to a vendor.
Oh, no, I just said for illustration purposes only. That's why I added those.
Well, we didn't include any pictures, but
All right,
a
no,
bridge.
you're right.
But we
If-
could.
I agree with you. If it's that guy that met with us, what, a year ago? If he
Yeah.
reads this, he knows what he's doing.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, so they can,
Yeah.
and they can ask questions and they can talk about it during the site visit too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of their qualifications, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so
Okay.
then, let's see, so we're under additional projects, so we have contractor, wait, is this right? Wait, why is this? All right, I guess that works. Is there anything else that says contractor?
All right,
Right here.
what's, no, easily.
Yeah, so I wonder, do these contractor pieces need to be under contract must? The duties and responsibilities, does that need to be under here for consistency? Sorry.
Well, okay, just finish your editing before we talk, I guess.
What happened? All these things aren't supposed to be under here. Let me just see.
It seems like a duplicate of the previous version of.
Something got merged, or something just went under a tree it wasn't supposed to. So, because the trail design construction should include environmental mitigation betterment. So there's only like 3 under there. I think this should be out here. Yeah, I think everything else was a bullet point like that. Okay, so then we had contractor responsible for maintaining a safe, blah, blah. I'm gonna put it up here and just see if it makes sense. And then contractor here, blah, blah. And going here and paste dupe and dupe. Okay, great. So let's read responsibilities and see if that makes sense. Insured. Contractors expect to be fully versed in proper trail techniques. Sloping grades should not exceed recommended guidelines. SCC strives to construct trails that can be accessed by user groups with varying physical abilities, or how do we say that better?
With a strong back.
With different physical abilities, or with
various.
various physical abilities, meeting accessibility criteria where possible is preferred. Contractor will work collaboratively with STC, MWA, local conservation commissions, and other entities as
It is users apostrophe or
where are we?
line above, yeah, this users. It is users group. Or
Users group, user group.
Thank you. By you, wait, can
No,
we
no, no.
access by user? Oh, I see.
You got two plurals.
Yeah,
By, I like groups.
Access by groups with various, yeah. Yep.
Or is it individuals, access by individuals with various?
Individuals.
individual. Yeah, that just, yeah, that's the right usage. You mean we need to have a scrum meeting every month? Stand up.
I say that one more time.
Scrum.
Scrum.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you do yesterday? What are you planning to do today? What were the impediments? 3 questions you have to answer every day.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that's agile.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that actually came up during the conference. Are we good here? And I control.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't love that breaks there, but
But
so
you
that-
could just put a line break or something. I mean, yeah, just hit
I
return.
think it just reads awkward.
There you go.
Let's a little bit up again. What's that responsible products?
Control Z. Control Z.
And responsible products. What is that?
Well, it's about using environmentally, products that are more sustainable.
And so why not we write environmentally friendly products? Sustainable and environmentally friendly
Yes.
products.
That's a good. Yep. Good improvement. Okay, I'll fix that space later.
Oh, lodging is required for them.
Yeah, that's why I put that in there, because it's something you don't really think about until you think about it. And so by putting that in there, I put the footnote, and the footnote reads, Knobscot Scout reservations located 5.4 miles away. Now, the problem with that is coordination of whether they're going to have availability by the time we get around to this. Good. I don't know.
And what about the call of nature? I mean, that's the thing.
They have
Porta potty.
Oh, they have cabins, and
Oh.
they have like nice cabins, and they can house as many people they need to here.
Oh, okay.
They also have tents, but if they could be in cabins, they said that would be preferred. But they would do tents. They tend to they camp at the sites usually. So if they're remote, they'll go out and camp for 10 days and do the work.
Okay.
Okay. We could say that I was going to say the use of other volunteers, but then it inferred that student conservation's volunteers, and they're not. So I used not other. Okay. Okay, so one thing Will brought up is making sure that the tread is the right stuff, and that we're minimizing erosion with water, and we minimize anything we can do to minimize weeding and those types of maintenance. So are you guys comfortable with how that's framed? Oh, and then this bullet, so what I have seen, so we put it in if the project's not meeting industry standards or project components are not moving according to
Mhm.
schedule, STC reserves the right to remove contractor from the project. I have seen it where that, like with a 10-day notice or something like that. And I feel like that might be a little more a fair approach than just say, we have the right to just remove you. But what do you think about putting a notice of time frame in there?
If we have to, we do, otherwise we just kind of like leave it that way.
Well, have to, I don't know if we have a have to, it's more of a want to. And it could, does it make us appear more reasonable with the 10-day notice versus not?
So I mean, what's the difference? You tell them in 10 days you're done, or tell them next week you're done? I mean,
Okay, not to worry. Oops. Stop. Make it stop. Okay. We don't know about prevailing wage, so, and I don't know how prevailing wage is gonna work with,
yeah, the SCA, yeah.
I don't even know how I don't even want to really know, but it's good. We have to be able to use Student Conservation Association. I would hope.
What
And
is the prevailing wage for someone that creates a
I don't
a
know.
nature trail?
I don't know. It doesn't it doesn't fit a box quite clearly. So I'll leave that question
Yeah.
there. Saty, are you comfortable with this timeline frame?
Timeline
We'd
frame.
like it done in 2023, but if we had to go into 2024, we could.
I mean, you are leaving some leeway for them.
Yeah.
To. It depends when they start, right?
Right, it does. And it depends on a lot of variations. Like,
Yep.
we can't even predict what could happen. So I think having a little flexibility in here, it says it will be considered. It doesn't have to be. Like, it doesn't have to end up that way.
Do we want to, why do you have the word extensions? It's really project completion in 2024 would be considered so long as a trail installation can commence in 2023.
Okay. Last word's good. Are we good with this site visit and Q&A?
All questions will be due by then. Questioners will be, X amount of days afterwards.
Okay. And then for what we want a proposal, the cost estimate broken down by materials, labor, and other related expenses, or just other expenses.
Is that what Mark and Melanie or whoever said we have to break it down that way?
No, I want to see personally what you're charging us and how the components. No, but we
Okay.
didn't get any guidance yet on how things need to be broken down.
Okay.
It was someone else had requested it in this format and I liked it, so I put it in. So open to discussion. Ooh, boardwalk.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, that works.
Is there a comma before the word and? I don't know English language that well, but is that proper English to do comma and?
If you
Yeah.
have 3 in a row, 2 commas, yes.
Okay.
In
That's
some
good.
cases you don't need to, but if we take it out, will it suggest it for us? I don't know. When you have a series of
That's fine. We don't have to waste time on that.
okay, but no, it's good to ask and call out things because I make mistakes. So pictures of similar
Proposed schedule and your availability. We want a proposed timeline or schedule. proposed, we basically want their a timeline. It doesn't have to be every day what's going on, but we want to know when they can start and send. And I think the schedule for your availability is assumed in your timeline.
So proposed timeline.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that will include everything. I mean, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then contact information for 3 references for
Yep.
some projects.
Yep. Minimum of 3, or do you just want to say 3?
I think we're good. I'm good with 3.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so this section, their compliance with state and fed regulations. One of the good things that came out of the grant review process of the larger project is that they actually did some evaluation as far as wetlands and what was needed, the endangered species, and also the Natural Historic Preservation Act. So those things I put in here because I wanted the vendors to know that they were cleared, for example. So it is in the wetlands, and I took the reviewers, the regulator comments out of the grant agreement that actually said these things. So we didn't make anything up. So just letting them know that there are endangered species, but our project does not overlap their habitat, so we're good, and no effect on bats, and then no adverse effects on the historic preservation, because this is near the historic district of the Sudbury Dam. Yeah. Yep. So I thought that was good. Now, whether we have to do Buy America, we already have a Buy America certification from one of our vendors. Not guaranteed we're going to use that vendor, but I don't know if we need it. We needed it for the grant, but I don't know that we need it for ARPA. So I've already asked Melanie, Mark, and the team to figure that out. And if we don't need it, we're taking it out.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, because it increased costs, and I'm all for Buy America, but it increased costs and all sorts of things. So it's if we need to, we should. If we don't have to.
Totally agree.
Okay. So that's why it's highlighted and have a comment here. Okay. All right, so that's it. Oh, some pictures. So this is just like a map of the trail, and I highlight where the boardwalk and bridge is going to be. This is a bigger picture so they can kind of see it zoomed in, far away. And then these are the pictures. I have to line them better because they're crooked now. But this is the boardwalk, right? The natural surface trail.
Here's me. Here's me.
There's your point. And this is where the bridge will go. So these are just, pictures that might help for context, but the site visit will obviously be the better version for them to take a look. And I'll straighten these out so that they're lined better. So do we need anything else for pictures, do you think? I just wanted to kind of keep it simple because I don't really know how.
No, because it's basically there's 3 things: the earthen trail, a natural trail, the that's on the right. You can see where the bog is crossing. And like I said, the other one for that swampy area, I forgot what letter it was. That's a nothingness. That's
yeah. And it gives them perspective, but the site visit's going to give them what they need. And then this is a bigger overview of the boardwalk again and the bridge so that they can see. And then pointing out the Southborough and Framingham side so they understand that both towns are involved. And here's an aerial, which is often included. I'll fix the layout. MWA facility here, Southborough, and then the Framingham one got lost, so I'll put it back.
Yeah.
So that's that. Anything else for pictures you think we need?
no.
Okay, so then Appendix B, all of the rest of the pages from 10 to 41 all came as a package, Sati. And this is the contract stuff that the town requires for these bids. So, we'll put it in here. It has the insurance requirements. It has certifications. It has all sorts of things. They have to do a payment, like a % payment that they have to contribute to with the, as a deposit, and so that we know that they have funds to pay for it and stuff like that. So lots of mumbo jumbo, but it's not for us to edit. So I've just inserted it into the document here.
Yep.
Okay, so how do we feel like I think we're in fairly good shape to go to review, at least by Tim. Davis, the recreation director.
I agree.
We still have some outstanding questions, but that's okay. If he can
But-
take a first look at it and then give us his opinion and see if there's any glaring omissions.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there. Now, the next step we have is, oops, see, that happens.
Just shrink it down a little bit.
No, it's sometimes when you play with these text boxes, they'll hide behind each other.
I think if you right click the whole thing while the pictures overlap, you can make them as one.
I'm trying to group them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we'll have him look at it and then give us some feedback, and then we'll talk. We have to do a legal notice and all that stuff. So technically we're on January 17th today. Say we get feedback from Tim this week. We might be able to go to Melanie and get feedback from them too, if it's, if Tim's good with it. And then we'll meet again on the 24th. So I think we might be able to post by the end of January and do the legal posting. And then that would put us into February. We let it ride for a couple of weeks. We do a site visit either the 3rd, 4th, or 5th week of Feb. So that would be either Feb 13th, 20th, or 27th. I'm not sure what we should do. We'll ask for some guidance.
Well,
I
we
am
got
out-
school, just state it out there, school vacation is the week of Monday, the 20th of February.
Yeah, does that impact us?
No, I'm just stating the obvious.
No, it's okay, because we do usually need to pay attention.
Well, the 20th would be the holiday. That would be President's Day.
Yeah.
Okay. So we won't do anything on that day.
I'm just saying this,
Is that
If we
time
give it out on the
frame work for you
1st,
guys too?
this is a question that maybe Tim would know. How long does, how long we give out the bids, 2 weeks later? Do we have the site visit and the Q&A, then the site visit? So how long, are we talking 6 weeks? I don't know the
He
timeline.
said some bids are like 2 weeks and that's it. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We want to
No.
give people some reasonable time to figure
Right.
things out, right? So it's really partly up to us. So we could have it open for 2 weeks and then do a site visit the 3rd week. And
I'm
then
just saying, if we open up, I'm just saying, what happens if it's the 6th of February? Let's just give us a cushion.
Yeah.
We release it on the 6th.
it could be 30-day turnaround total.
Then we say. Oh, when is that? Ash Wednesday. Oh, never mind. I'm
Ooh,
just trying to put a quick timeline. Then we do like maybe the 21st, the 21st
Yep,
as the site visit.
yep.
But no, do we do the Q&A and online questions before the site visit?
So yes, I think we can. And I want to ask somebody if we should have it open for 2 full weeks before we do a site visit, or 1 week and then a site visit.
I would,
We can have Q&A is due by, so we can be collecting Q&A, like this is how the Combis does it. You have a Q&A deadline, and then you submit questions up to that deadline, and then the vendor or the procurement officer will compile those, answer them, and send them out in batch. So how we line up, but it seems like the Q&A people are going to have questions after the site visit, so we need to be aware of
Yeah,
that. I think
so
Q&A needs to be
I'm-
after.
I'm thinking about moving it up a week. So release on the 6th, site visit on the 13th. And then they really start working on their proposals, their bid after the site visit and questions and answers. So
So do what on the 6th? Just,
say we release it on the 6th and then we do the site visit 1 week later.
we might be able to release on the 30th.
Okay, then say
Yeah.
the 30th, then it's the 6th, we do the site. I think we do the site visit 1 week after we.
Oh, I can't do it on the 6th. So I'm out I'm out February 1st through the 10th.
All right, so you have a lot of the knowledge in your head.
Well, yeah, I'd like to be there. So the 13th would be, and that's not, I
Alright.
don't think, too detrimental.
I'm just, what today's the 17th. Let's just tentatively plan for the 6th to be released.
Okay.
It could go earlier,
Yeah.
but
And the
if-
reason it might benefit us is, listen, so if we need Mark and Melanie to be a part of the procurement team, which they are, and the town meeting is in March, they're going to be very, very busy and not open to meeting with us until after town meeting if we're close to town meeting. So benefit to us is the sooner the better, right? If we can get outside. When is town meeting? Is it the 25th? When is, I don't have March.
I don't remember now.
It should
Actually, I
be
do have, I think I have the town website on the thing.
25th. Okay,
Of what month?
March.
Okay. Yeah, so let's see if we can button up on the 30th and we can still do this, the site visit on the 13th.
Yeah. And that might give us a good time because I do not want to get pushed after the town meeting.
I know, I agree. All right,
Just-
let's shoot for the 30th.
Now we have a legal notice in there that we have to submit. I have to look at my notes to see what the timeline is that. Because I think you have to have your legal notice gets posted. You have to pay for the newspaper article and then it has to run a certain amount of time. So there's some legal requirement with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know exactly how, oh, someone raised their hand. Hold on. That Will? Hey, Will.
Yeah, it's well.
Hey, Will, I just allowed you to talk. Sorry, I haven't seen your hand raised.
Hello.
What's up?
Nothing. I just got in from the MTC Cluster of Love meeting.
Okay. So are you here for good?
Yes,
Oh, good. Okay. Well, welcome.
sounds like you guys are deep in the planning, which is good.
Yeah, we just kind of signed off on what we think is a good draft to send to Tim. If you want to take a look at it on the portal or on the OneDrive, that you're welcome to.
Okay,
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what timing we need to do if we go public and then to get it reviewed by well before for the committee. And we're going to post that publicly, Tom, so that the whole Trails Committee can participate in the bid review. And in order to do that, we have to we'll have quorum at that point, but I'm comfortable with doing that because I think everybody wants to be involved in that process and should be involved in that.
is it okay to show to the public what companies have bid? I get it. If it is, it's fine.
Well, yeah, I think it is a public bid.
Right.
Public
Okay. You're right.
And
I'm
pretty
thinking,
sure- Yeah.
I'm thinking private business. In that case, the business may be, the bidders may say, we don't want you to tell people what we bid.
Well, I think what happens in that case, Will, is sometimes if there's confidential information, then those pages are stamped confidential and that's not public, but the rest of the proposal's public. So to protect your business interests. So in the private world, I think that's one of the ways that we've handled it. For example,
Okay.
like we don't want our hourly rates out there, so we post confidential. So the rest of the proposal, the qualitative part is public, but the rest isn't. But I think in this case, that doesn't happen, but it's a good question.
Good.
Okay, anything else on, I think we're in good shape and we've got a kind of a timeline. And do you think, yeah, we almost met our quota for meetings already in 2023. I'm just joking, but since we've met every day, every week. Okay, so what else is on our agenda? Let me just, do we have something else? Wait, do we want to, do we want to vote on this? Like,
No,
No,
because
we should vote on
there's
the
nothing to
final.
vote.
yeah, we're just
Okay.
putting it forward as a draft. We'll
Right.
vote on the final. Okay, great. Okay, so then I think we're good. And then anything else? I don't think the trail of butters. So we'll focus on, once we get this draft out, we'll focus on the abutter letter that goes to the
Yep.
folks, letting them know about Peninsula Trail. But I am glad we talked to DCR first to just make sure we're all on the same page. So we're comfortable with that. And I think that's it. Our next meeting is January 24th at 7:30. And does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And we are adjourning at 9:15. Sati for the minutes. And does someone want to second it?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And all in favor, Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Will Warren,
Yes.
Pat McKee. Yes. Great. So Sati, if you will note the minutes that Will Warren was
Yeah.
joined later.
Yep, I
Um,
did that.
Okay, you're awesome. All right, great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your help. This is going really, it's a great process and it's been fun working with you on it, so. You're here.
Okay, Kat, can I ask one question of you? I mean, now that we're adjourned.
Let
And
me
that's-
just stop recording.
Stop recording.